Bum, bum, ch, bum, bum, ch, bum, bum, ch. You see me now, a veteran of 1,000 OGL Wars. I've been living on the edge so long, where the winds of Wizards of the Coast roar. I'm young enough to look at, but far too old to see all the scars of the inside. I'm not sure if there's anything left to talk about in the tabletop role-playing game world. What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OGGM, coming to you live 9:42 in the morning on this, the 15th day of December, 2023. It is dry and sunny and perfect right now outside, but the rain, she's a-coming to blow away the year. And it's time to take a look at the veterans of the OGL Wars, the survivors, who has emerged as the final countdown. And right now, everything's coming up Matt Colville DM RPG. Despite the controversy, despite people going after it, despite people cherry picking to find things wrong with it, it is currently at 3 million plus and not looking like it's going to stop anytime soon. I'm still not quite sure what it is about this game that's got people so excited, other than it's Matt Colville and it's not 5e, and maybe there secretly is a huge chunk of the tabletop role-playing game community that actually want a 4e inspired game. We've heard the positive, we've heard the negative, we've heard the pointlessness, we've heard the conspiracies, but right now, it is the number one contender for most anticipated tabletop role-playing game of the year. Or is it? Because we have our friends at ENWorld have posted up their yearly most anticipated RPG for 2024. Your chance to nominate it, link down below. And here are some of the nominees. Just so you remember, the most anticipated tabletop role-playing game of 2023 was King Arthur Pendragon 6th edition, which never came out. Now, of course, number one is D&D 5e 2024, or whatever they're calling it. D&D Forever, D&D Evolve, I don't know, the Nightmare, the Wizards of the Coast Nightmare. And Wizards of the Coast has been on everybody's radar this week because of the latest round of Wizards of the Coast stupidity and the termination of so many people who made up the heart and soul of Dungeons & Dragons creativity. And the list hasn't changed. It's still early Friday, so we can accept to see a few more. So obviously, number one, whether we like it or not, is. Now, number two was Daggerheart. But Daggerheart seems to have kind of floundered. And as we talked about yesterday, with Darrington Press spreading themselves too thin, now they're doing a CCG. I'm wondering if the hype train has kind of left Daggerheart. It might be too late for Daggerheart. It was my go-to. It was my number one contender. But now it's like, Daggerheart, you kind of, to once again use the pro wrestling, Daggerheart, you kind of feel like you're in the mid-card vortex now. You could have been, but it feels like Darrington Press Critical Role just don't know what to do. They're just, I don't know. They're spreading themselves too thin. So, of course, here are some of the nominees. Final Fantasy XIV Tabletop Role-Playing Game Starter Set. This is based, of course, upon Final Fantasy 16, which is more of the tactical simulation Final Fantasy, not the one with Cloud and all the other characters you're familiar with. So, we don't know anything about it yet, other than it was nominated, mentioned. We don't know where things stand. We don't know anything about the system. Is it going to 5e, whatever? We just know that they're making one. The main complaint, of course, is it feels it's a little late to do a Final Fantasy role-playing game, but it's on the list, and we'll go check out that list right now. For those of you who want to take a look, we're on the ENWorld website, and this is what people are talking about. 13th Age, 2nd edition, coming out in 2024. Pendragon 6e, because it didn't really come out in 2023. A box set came out, but the actual game didn't came out. Tales from the Valiant is right now, I'm going to say Since I don't really know what MCDM is, if we're looking for the most viable alternative for 5e players, it's Tales for the Valiant. If we're looking for the most viable alternative for people who want to play D20 D&D-esque fantasy without dealing with 5e, it's Pathfinder 2nd edition. And then just we have Matt Colville's 4th edition love letter, whatever it is. And we still don't know enough about MCDM to really say, oh, I think it's X. Shadow of the Weird Wizard was supposed to come out in 2023 and it didn't. So that's list. Mothership box set. Where is that? Still waiting for that. But we're MCDM, but obviously it's not, might not be out by the end of 2024. So even though it's the most anticipated, it might actually see print to 2025. So I guess this person is also saying, Eat the Reich from Rowan Rook and Descartes, and Diablo. If I was going to go for what I'm most excited about in 2024, other than the Electric State, Diablo. I love Diablo. I love the lore. I love the world. I don't know why I'm not playing Diablo 4. Probably because, it's still a little pricey. And I'm giving it a year to work out all the bugs. But yeah, so Diablo would be on my list. I know I'd never play it. I'd never run it, but I'm excited about it. Even if it's more focused on Diablo 4. But I don't know if it's in my most anticipated. It's definitely not in my top 5. I mean, if I'm looking at it from just a 5e point of view, it's Tales from the Valiant and Pathfinder 2nd edition. If it's just game I think might actually do something, well, right now it's Matt Colville, but, is Matt Colville just going to be a waste of time? And that's really it. I mean, we know the Brandon Sanderson game's coming out, the Stormlight Archive, but we don't know anything about it. Or if it'll actually see print in 2024. We know there's a Assassin's Creed supposedly coming out in 2024. We don't have a release date. We don't know anything about it. We know that there's a Gloomhaven tabletop role-playing game that says it's coming out in 2024. Again, we don't have a release date. We don't have anything about it. There's still the mythical 7C D20. Nothing on that. Or the DC-20. DC-20 was one of the first that said it was going to be the 5e killer. No movement on that since April. Shadow Dark, 2023. The definite winner of the 2023 OGL Wars, no question, is Kelsey and Shadow Dark, because she's the only one who actually produced anything in 2023, right? And consistently we're seeing stuff for Shadow Dark. But unfortunately, Shadow Dark has the couple controversies attached to it, including the where the hell is the physical books, Kelsey Shadow Barge nonsense. And we don't know what she has planned for 2024. She's being very close-lipped because our friend Kelsey is smart and she knows how the business works. So she's might surprise us all with another blockbuster in 2024. It really kind of depends on everything cycles back to the Grinch that is Wizards of the Coast. And after all the layoffs this week and possible more layoffs still to come, we don't really know what, if anything, is going to go on with D&D. We've talked about this a lot this week. I don't know if I really want to talk about it anymore, but I shall note that if there is no release date for 2024 D&D yet, for physical copies anyways, we can expect the digital copy March, April, May. Player's Handbook's done. I know they say it's not done. They're still play testing. It's done. It's done. Okay? Any bullshit they say about they're still play testing it is just them trying to appease their non-existent audience. It's probably been done for a while. So I would expect the digital March, April, May. But the physical? Who the fuck knows when we're going to see that? And what about the Vecna and all the other stuff? I don't even know what we can expect from 2024 Wizards of the Coast, especially after all the terminations. Release date for employees, but not products seems odd. Yes. Sadly, I mean, I don't want anybody to lose their jobs. I don't want anybody to be, have to worry about the care and feeding of their homes. Even Kyle Brink, man, I don't really want anything bad to happen to Kyle Brink. He just was an idiot. The only person who I if I was going to wish ill will on anyone, it would be Mackenzie, because she just disgusts me. Sorry. Or at least the stance she's chosen to take disgusts me. Oh yeah, it's done. It's done. They can say they're still play testing and whatever, but it's done, and it's probably been done for a while. And you'll probably see the first inklings of digital in May or March. Probably, yeah, March. So there's other things, there's the layest OGL Sweetheart. That is Adventurer Conqueror King 2nd edition. There's Greg Gillespie's Dragon Slayer. There's a couple others that might be coming up that look maybe interesting for the OGL and what's going to be the OGL OSR dream game for 2024. Or is it just going to be everybody's just going to circle their wagons around Castles and Crusades? That still seems to be the one that has emerged as the most victorious that wasn't the 5e. But if we're looking at who's going to take my 5e money in 2024, who's the winner of the OGL Wars, it's Pathfinder or Tales from the Valiant. Because those are the two most likely to capture the 5e crowd who doesn't want to play 2024 D&D. Or there might be a huge upswing to go back to original Pathfinder. I love original Pathfinder. Until it got weird. But those first couple of years, Pathfinder 1 was perfect. It did everything I wanted in a fantasy game. I haven't had a chance to play Pathfinder 2 or much less Pathfinder 2 Remastered, so I don't know what to expect. Who knows? Maybe we'll all go back to Pathfinder 1. I notice there's a Pathfinder 1 bundle right now, right? So I think it'll be a race between Tales from the Valiant and Pathfinder 2 Remastered for who captures the audience. I don't know anything. I don't know. I don't know what to call it. It's not a 5e retro clone. It combines, it looks like we have so little information on it, From what we're reading, it looks like it combines some of the best stuff from 4th edition and some stuff from True 20. And then it's got the 2d6 stuff and some of the other stuff from, Powered by the Apocalypse, Never Missing, Roll for Dodge, that kind of stuff. But we know so little. I can't say it's a contender for the 5e crowd. Who is going to go to that game? Who is the people who's given $3 million to this? It is a dark horse because it's a mystery. Okay, so yeah, I've said this before. I said this yesterday. I commented on a talk that was being given on Roll for Combat. They were questioning if Hasbro sold Dungeons and Dragons, could it save them from the disaster that they've had this year financially? I don't think. There's a lot of reasons why Kelsey did so well, and that is definitely one of them. I don't think Hasbro will ever sell the name Dungeons and Dragons. That name is worth too much money. They could sell off Wizards of the Coast or reabsorb it, no problem. Because Hasbro doesn't need Wizards of the Coast to make Hasbro doesn't need Wizards of the Coast to make Magic the Gathering. Hasbro doesn't need Wizards of the Coast to make Dungeons and Dragons. Wizards of the Coast is a production company. We've got Wizards of the Coast Magic the Gathering on the first floor, and we've got D&D Studios on the second floor. They could shut down D&D Studios. I mean, it looks like they pretty much did. They could shut down Magic the Gathering. Anybody and their dog could make their cards. That's 30 years worth of technology already established. It's not that hard to make a Magic the Gathering expansion at this point in time, really. Basically, there seems to be two schools of thought. Schools of thought for Magic the expansion is, what's a license that we can tie to Magic that we haven't yet? We did Doctor Who, we did Lord of the Rings, so we got that, and that's making them a lot of money. The Lord of the Rings cards, the Doctor Who cards, then we've got which one of our stories from the previous 30 years can we revisit another time? Can we do Innistrad again? Can we do Theros again? Can we do Phyrexia again? Can we do the Artifact War again? And then you just look at the cards, and all you have to do is go, all right, I need a new card, so let's just rename a mechanic. Instead of calling it Dredge, let's call it something else. Instead of calling banding, let's call it something else. All right? So Magic the Gathering can be made in a sleep by a bunch of kids out of a garage in Westminster or Korea or wherever. No problem. D&D, the OGL rules, anybody could do anything with that. They could completely shut down Wizards of the Coast and say, here, take the rules, sell the rule set, do whatever you want. We don't want to do this anymore. Give it to Renegade Press, give it to somebody else, give the rule set to anybody else and say, just do what you want with it. We're done. But Dungeons and Dragons, the name, no, I don't see them ever selling that off, because the branding that's money. It literally is money that prints itself. And that's what Hasbro understands. D&D, the brand, is worth way more money to Hasbro than D&D, the game. Hasbro will always make more money off of a Dungeons and Dragons branded lunchbox, t-shirt, action figure, whatever, than they will off of a physical player's handbook. They're losing money on the player's handbook. That's why they're going digital. And once it's 100% digital, they don't really need half the staff they have. And again, anybody can do the digital shit. All we really want to control is the name. All that's really important to Hasbro is the name Dungeons and Dragons. So they could sell off everything else. They could reabsorb or get rid of Wizards of the Coast. But they want the brand. Dungeons and Dragons the sweatshirt. Dungeons and Dragons the flamethrower. The kids love it. That's pure money. So I don't think they'll ever sell off the name. But yeah, I mean, it does look like Wizards of the Coast as we understand it, or Dungeons and Dragons Studios as we understand it, is being downsized or just going away. And that's this week's Veterans of the OGL Wars. The only real winner still is Kelsey, and the only real losers, other than us, are the 1,150 people that Hasbro fired. And that's just sort of a tragic way to end this week. So I guess I'll sing some more. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.